I'm simply adjusting my work-life balance to reflect my actual position in the company, an operations manager with no stake in its future. You have the same stake as always. Nothing's changed in your compensation package. Everything's changed, Dad. You can't expect me to work like an owner when you've made it clear I'll never be one. He raked a hand through his graying hair, frustration visible on every line of his face. I need you, Ethan. The company needs you. And I'm here during business hours, doing exactly what my job description entails. No more, no less. Dad gave me a long stare before sighing. I've got a meeting with the Harrington Group on Thursday. Their CFO specifically asked that you be there. Something about wanting to discuss the cost-saving measures you implemented on their tower project. I checked my calendar. I can make 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. work. If the meeting's at 8:30, then I'll be there for the second half. I stood up. Is there anything else? He looked at me as if I was a stranger. Maybe he was. No. He replied finally. That's all. As I came back to my office, I could feel employees' eyes on me. Word had spread about the Westridge offer. People whispered, wondering what was going on with the Matthews family. Let them wonder, I reasoned. Let them all wonder. The meeting with the Harrington Group proved disastrous. I came about 9:30 a.m., as planned. I slipped into the meeting room and quietly apologized for my delay. My father gave me a look that could have frozen hell, while Clara simply looked perplexed. The Harrington executives, Alexander Pierce and his executive team, were studying financial predictions for their next venture. Ah, Ethan, Alexander remarked as he recognized me, just the man we need. We were discussing the implementation of that modular approach you pioneered on our tower project. We'd like to use a similar method for the new development, but with some modifications. For the next hour, I was completely involved, answering questions, sharing insights, and making enhancements to their planned changes. This was the aspect of my career that I actually enjoyed. Solving complicated challenges, devising new techniques, and adding value. Alexander called me aside after the meeting ended. I was worried when you weren't here at the start, he told me. Frankly, your father and sister seemed a bit out of their depth on the technical side. Clara is still learning the business, I explained tactfully. So I gathered, he murmured with sharp eyes. Your father mentioned she'll be taking over as CEO. Interesting choice. I said nothing, which appeared to tell Alexander all he needed to know. Well, he says, I want you to know that Matthews got the Harrington account because of you, Ethan. Your expertise, your creativity, your attention to detail. I hope that doesn't change, regardless of the company's internal arrangements. I appreciate that, Alexander. He gave me his card. If you ever decide to make a change, give me a call. We're always looking for talent like yours. I nodded as I pocketed the card. Thanks. As Alexander and his colleagues left, my father approached, his look a mix of relief and resentment. You saved that meeting, he said reluctantly. I did my job, I told him. Where were you for the first hour? I told you I could only make it from 9:30 to 10:30. I had other commitments. Dad's jaws tightened. What commitment could possibly be more important than the Harrington Group? My life. I answered simply. Now if you'll excuse me, I have work to finish before the end of the day. As I went away, I heard Clara question our father. What's going on with him? His furious response was, I don't know, but he needs to snap out of it before he costs us everything. I smiled to myself. They still didn't understand it. They assumed I was having a temper tantrum and would ultimately grow out of it. They had no idea I was already working on my resume and reaching out to industry contacts. I had no idea Alexander Pierce's card was not the first such offer I'd received over the years. It was simply the first one I was seriously contemplating. Let Clara handle it, I reasoned. She is the heir, after all. A week later, chaos broke unleashed. I was examining superintendent reports when my father stormed into my office, his face ashen. Harrington just called, he stated without elaborating. They're reconsidering their future projects with us. I looked up slowly. Why would they do that? Apparently, there's been a misunderstanding about the timeline for their new development. Clara spoke with Alexander yesterday and agreed to a completion date 5 months earlier than we discussed. That's not possible with their design requirements, I answered flatly. Not unless they want to increase the budget by 45%. I know that, Dad snapped. Everyone in this business knows that. But Clara thought she could win points by promising an aggressive timeline. And now Alexander is saying either we honor the timeline Clara promised, or they'll reconsider their relationship with us. 18 million in future contracts, Ethan, at risk. I leaned back in my chair, taking the information in. What do you want me to do about it? Dad looked at me with surprise. What do I want you to do? I want you to fix this. Call Alexander. Explain the situation. Work out a compromise. He respects you. That sounds like a CEO problem, I responded. Or an heir problem, not an operations manager problem. Ethan, for God's sake, this isn't the time for your attitude. The company is at stake. The company that will never be mine, I told him. The company you've made clear belongs to Clara's future, not mine, so let Clara handle it. She's the heir, right? In a fit of rage, my father's face regained its color. Is that what this is about? You're willing to let our biggest client walk away because your feelings are hurt? My feelings aren't hurt, Dad. I've simply adjusted my investment in this company to match its investment in me. He raked his hands through his hair, frustrated. What do you want? A title? Fine. We'll make you co-CEO with Clara. No, I replied gently. I don't want a consolation prize. What I wanted was for my 14 years of sacrifice to mean something. What I wanted was for you to see my value before you were in crisis. Now it's too late. Dad's expression turned from angry to fearful. You can't mean that. This is your family, your legacy. No, I corrected him. It's Clara's legacy now. You made that decision, not me. He opened his mouth to answer, but his phone rang. He looked at the screen and cursed. It's Alexander. I have to take this. Good luck, I replied, returning to my work. Dad paused in the doorway, appearing bewildered in a way I hadn't seen before. Then he answered the phone, and was gone. I sat in the solitude of my office, a peculiar emptiness forming within me. I should have felt vindicated as my predictions came true so swiftly. Instead, I felt hollow. This company had dominated my life for so long. Watching it falter should have hurt even more than it did. Perhaps I had already detached myself from Matthew's construction. Maybe it was a good thing. The Harrington crisis was only the beginning. Over the next month, 3 more significant contracts failed due to client management errors. Clara, despite her apparent people talents, was drowning. She did not comprehend the technological limits that influenced our pricing and timelines. She made promises that our teams could not keep. She prioritized acquiring new clients over maintaining old ones. Meanwhile, I delivered exactly what I promised, no more, no less, than my position required. I efficiently managed activities during business hours. I did not attend nighttime client dinners. I didn't work weekends to save failing projects. I did not provide remedies to problems that were not directly under my scope. I watched the catastrophe unfold with detached curiosity, as if watching a slow-motion car collision from a safe distance. My mother showed up at my apartment on a Sunday afternoon, which she had never done before. When I answered the door, the worry lines around her eyes were the deepest I'd ever seen them. "May I come in?" she inquired. I moved aside and gestured for her to enter. My apartment was sparsely furnished. I hadn't spent much time here before because I was constantly working. Now that I had recaptured my evenings and weekends, I was beginning to make it feel more like home. One wall was lined with new bookcases, each with engineering literature and novels I'd been meaning to read for years. A half-finished model of the Harrington Tower was on my dining table. Mom spotted it right away. "You're building a model of the tower?" "Just a hobby," I replied with a shrug. "Something to do with my free time." She ran her fingers over the table's edge, avoiding my gaze. "Your father is worried sick. The company is in trouble, Ethan." "I'm aware. Clara is trying her best, but she's not qualified to run a construction company," I said to her. "She never was." Mom's eyes blazed. "That's not fair. She has other strengths." "Being your favorite isn't a business qualification, Mom." She recoiled, like if I had slapped her. "Is that what you think? That we favored Clara? Didn't you? You gave her the company despite her having no relevant experience or demonstrated commitment. What would you call that?" Mom slumped onto my couch, suddenly looking 64 years old. Your father thought. She could bring fresh perspectives, new ideas. And you were so good at the operational side." "So good you took me for granted," I remarked quietly.